stop posting on our Instagram feed altogether. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I'm like so interested to see what that's going to be like because I like for my business, I feel like a lot of my original customers came from Instagram because that's where I started really like selling before I had an online shop. I kind of just like used Instagram as my platform to get my products out there and stuff. And so I still feel like I on my for my business, I use it a lot. So like the thought of not using Instagram like scares, and I think about that too. I'm like, oh my God, if like how would my business do if I just stopped using Instagram? Like I don't know. So same with like I have no idea how it's gonna work.
And I think that's also like we have different business models. We have different types of businesses, right? So
For
as a
sure.
service-based, education-based organization at Love at First Search, like we are the ways that we are using our feed are educational. It's, you know, it's not the same that you're using. Whereas for you as a product-based business, especially a handmade product-based business, you're showing your products and people are, maybe they don't even know that they want it, right? They don't have that awareness of like, I didn't know that I needed this hat or this shirt
Mhm.
or this keychain or whatever it is that you're creating, you know, but then they see it and they're like, oh, like give me that.
Yeah, and I feel like like Instagram has been more of a honestly, it's turned into a lot of shopping. Like there is literally a
Mm-hmm.
shopping tab on there now too, whereas I feel like it doesn't lend itself very well to like long form educational content. Like people are on Instagram to be entertained if they can be compared to like TikTok or something. And just like see those quick funny or like entertaining things versus like, oh, I'm on here because I want to learn how to make my website better so I can
Yeah.
get more clients. You know, it's very different.
And I think that's something that, you know, Instagram has changed a lot. In the last episode, Andrea was like, 5 years ago, you could just like find a quote from Albert Einstein and make it pretty and put it up and people would share it. And that's not what the platform is for anymore. And to your point, it's like, if I need to learn something, I'm not going to Instagram to learn it. I'm going to YouTube or I'm going to Google or I'm going to like a very specific platform like an Udemy or Skillshare, right? Like if there's something that I am curious about, I search for it as opposed to scrolling for it. And
Yeah.
knowing what your client behavior is really important here. That like if your client is going onto Instagram to be entertained and then you start saying like, well, here are the 5 tips for making your website and better converting, then like they're absolutely going to slide right past it, skip right over it. You know, like what's the, I don't know, the full swipe that you do in stories?
Yeah, like
You
where
know
you
how
can
you
just
can skip a whole,
yeah,
yeah.
just go to the next
We're
one.
making thumb gestures at each other.
Just go to the next one.
You're just like, you're not even just going to tap, you're going to like fully swipe to get past it,
Yeah.
right? And so knowing what your audience engages with, what they want from you on these different platforms, and if what you're creating is not what they want on that specific platform, then like find a different platform.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take this half an hour conversation and be like, I'll just slice it up into 1 minute reels and put the entire 30-minute conversation on it, because nobody wants that on
Yeah.
Instagram. Nobody. And like the attention span isn't there for that. That's not what it's for. That's not how it's built. You can't go as deep on these platforms. And there's absolutely, like you're saying, a time and a place where people are like, I'm scrolling, ooh, that's cute, I'm gonna buy that. That's not what I want. That's not how I think Love at First Search should be representing ourselves online, because we're just not, well, I don't like,
Yeah, you
I
don't
don't have products that are adorable
yeah.
to leave the door for, to open those doors, you
Yeah,
know?
you don't want it to be like a quick, oh, that's cute, I'm gonna keep scrolling thing. Like you actually want people to be engaged with what you're posting. So I
Mm-hmm.
think figuring out those, I guess, 9 things that we're gonna post on the grid,
Yes.
will be crucial.